Are we live, guys? I think we
Yeah,
are.
Live.
we're live.
Hello,
Hey,
everyone.
guys. Oh, my God. What a crazy week. I mean, look, I'm in the healing business. And when we got a clip of Donald Trump talking to a newscaster on Fox, which was artificial intelligence, I caught on immediately. All right. We own some of the best software for the translation of Dear Mr. President in the world. Now, all of a sudden, all the editors want to know which software I'm using. They all want to be my friend, right? But anyway, needless to say, reality is I think that Donald Trump reposting that, I think he's either trolling us or he's sending us a message that it's real, getting us ready, and he's test marketing to see how we react.
Are you talking about the medbed comment that he put
Yeah.
on Truth? Okay, I think that was like definitely a message, but I think it was a troll for Big Pharma. That's what I think, saying, you
Well,
guys,
I think he's telling us they're coming. Get
yes,
ready, right? And I think that the guy in the press room asking the press secretary, and she basically answered saying, "He's a human being. He likes to play like that sometimes." I thought that was, you know, you guys think
definitely
about it.
nice that he has his own channel, but I have to tell you, I do think it's a troll for Big Pharma too, to say, watch out, guys, you don't have much more time because once everyone starts healing, you're gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, somebody said, "Hey, Mel, you're going to be out of business." You know what? Great. I'll go through the med bed myself. I'll bring the machines home, and I'll be on a lifetime maintenance program if that's the case.
But Mel, let's be real, all of us. You know, there are going to be people for a long time that are not going to trust new technology.
Oh yeah,
And they are going to, just like today, we tell all our friends and family who aren't awakened, try this, do that. You know, you could live better with this. You could, and they just want to listen to their doctors and they want to just take pharmaceuticals, and that's okay. So this isn't going to be an instant turnover because people are still, so your center for those people who are awake but aren't yet able to get in the med beds, or it's going to take a while. Your center is always going to be needed for a long time, as far as I see it.
oh, I think you're right. I don't think we'll ever go away. I think we'll turn into a different business model. I think we're going to turn into a gym membership. Pay us $1,700 every 6 months, and you come and use it unlimited. You want to stay overnight, sleep overnight. If there's room, obviously. You want to stay for 2 hours a day every day, or 3 hours a day every day. Come and use it. I think it's going to be like, okay, because if we have clean food, right? And I'm going to talk about clean food here in a little bit. I think the RFK and the Trump administration needs to hire me as a consigliere, to be quite honest with you, because I'm ruthless. Number one. Number two, I think that once the people come out of the med bed and their health is back to optimal level, we want to keep it that way. Because if you got clean air, clean food, you got linen clothes, which is the highest energy clothes you could wear. You got the cleanest superfoods in the world. You got the cleanest drinks in the world. The water's pristine. Everything's great, and you're programmed to live to be 1,000, 2,000 years old. Wouldn't you want to come to the gym membership and staying alive and make sure that your cells stay optimized like forever?
Maintain.
Right? Does that make sense? So I thought that was pretty wild. I think he's sending us a message saying, get ready when the quantum financial system comes, or the new financial system, as I like to call it. When that comes, when that becomes a reality, you're gonna get the med beds. That's the way I take it. I could be wrong. I could be delusional. I could be a nut job. Frank,
Nothing
You're not in
Nothing Trump does is by mistake, is it?
Yeah.
nothing.
Frank, you're into the regenerative medicine.
Yeah. What's the
What did you think
question?
of the whole thing?
Well, the video was taken down right away, right? Is that a snapshot of proof of that video? That's my only question. I saw that video so many times, but every time I go to Truth Social, it's not there.
Yeah, he took it
It
down
was
after
deleted.
left it there for a day.
It just had it for a day.
It was
Just-
there. It was there for 12 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think the regenerative medicine is going to be expanding, like, I mean,
Fold.
like lightning. It's already doing that, and I think one of the main issues here that are causing resistance is the medical community itself, because they're running scared. So
Yeah.
the majority of doctors that I know, a lot of them are even afraid to get into that because they're afraid of the FDA, the FTC. And by the way, Florida is one of the greatest states right now because actually the Surgeon General of Florida has gotten on board with regenerative medicine. That's an amazing thing. Florida
Right.
is, in my opinion, right now one of the main states, and I think the second state is going to go through is going to be maybe Arkansas.
Right.
I think Arkansas is going to be working on that, but Florida right now is the only state that passed legislation just 2 months ago facilitating the use of stem cells in the state of Florida. So that's great news. And
And the company you
it's
represent happens to have the Rolls Royce on steroids when it comes to stem cells, exosomes,
right.
mannitol, all of that stuff, right? Which I'm
Uh, the
about to get.
only the only safe stem cells to use are the ones in the umbilical cords. And there's only so many umbilical cords in the United States because they don't get them from overseas. And there's only so many umbilical cords that you can get from cesarean sections because you cannot use umbilical cords through vaginal delivery because of the contamination. And also, there's only so many people that, so many mothers or so many expecting mothers that are not vaccinated and they don't have COVID. So the screening process also adds to basically the scarcity of the raw material that you need for regenerative medicine.
So Frank, I have
So
a question. If you're a mother like myself, and when I gave birth, I had C-sections. I store my kid, is that what you're talking about when you store
yeah,
the
yeah.
I don't know the placenta, whatever the hell it
No,
was,
no,
like
you store the
the
umbilical
umbilical.
cord. So the umbilical cord is basically the delivery mechanism of the blood vessel of the artery and the venous system between the mother
And the
and the
baby.
child, right? And there is a substance inside which was discovered in the 16th century or in the 1600s, 17th century by a guy called Wharton. And after this guy, they named a bunch of schools, and the Wharton School of this and that, and that's the name of the substance is Wharton jelly. That's the gelatinous substance that's found in the umbilical cord, and this substance is loaded with all type of molecules that are basically part of the regenerative medicine, growth factors, uroconic acid, MSC cells, mesenchymal stem cells, exosomes, and it's 18 pages of basically molecular structure of all of these anti-inflammatory basically molecules that you are allowed to donate to implant in other people. So think about it, blood donation. If you The only thing we need to look at blood is the Rh positive negative, right? With Wharton jelly, we don't even have that limitation. Wharton jelly is basically a biologic that can be basically given to anybody else within the same species. Any other human can use it and benefit from that because it has the building blocks, the supplementation needed for your body to heal itself. So, for example, if you have an inflammation of the cartilage, or you have a chronic issue with the knee, the knee is one of the generic terms that we talk about, rehabilitation. So you have a knee, and you have cartilage that's been basically over time. You have a defect. It's inflammation. It's being reduced because of wear and tear, because perhaps you played a lot of sports when you were younger, and so forth and so on. As you reach a certain age, your body lacks the ability, lacks the supplementation needed to restore that cartilage. So, for example, cartilage needs three components to build itself. It needs hyaluronic acid, type 1, and type 2 collagen. So your body doesn't make enough. So we take Wharton jelly, we inject it, and we, by injecting that, we aid that spot with uroconic acid, type 1 and type 3 collagen, and a lot of other stuff, growth factors, exosome, and all of that. It's inside the jelly. So now, once you inject it with that, we have papers that prove 77% improvement of patients that receive those injections in the knee when compared to PRP, traditional PRP, which is just the spinning of the blood, getting the serum out and injecting that. It's only 35%. So you have 77% success rate versus 35%, and 30% is placebo, by the way. So we need to go towards supplementation. And a lot of this was approved back in the 19th century, by the way, in 1910. Congress gave the ability to the medical community to use biologics, extracts from other human beings, and that's how we got to organ replacement or transplant, like liver transplant, heart transplant, kidney transplant. There is no FDA approval for the kidneys. There is an FDA approval for the procedure, not for the actual organ, because the moment you label an organ a drug, then you give the control of human tissue to the government, and that cannot happen, because that would be the biggest violation of ethics if the government controls everybody's organs. You cannot do the only thing you can control is the procedure to make sure that there's a standard, so you minimize infections, you minimize malpractice, you minimize all of those issues that are due to human error or humans not being orderly, like, for example, not keeping their labs clean, not keeping the operating room clean. All of those rules and guidances are for the safety of the patient, but the actual biologic, there's a standard that is only for the labs that are producing it, to make sure that they're clean, they follow certain rules of production that are aligned with standards like ISO standards, GMP standards, global manufacturing processes, and so forth and so on. So there is this misconception by even doctors that they are afraid of using these biologics, even though there's historical data that this biologics not they don't just help people, but they should be used more often. And of course, who's causing that confusion? Pharmaceutical companies, right? Because they don't want to be used, because you cannot patent Wharton jelly, just like you cannot patent blood. You cannot patent the heart. A mechanical heart you can patent, but not a heart from another human being. So you can see this when you have commercial interests that are colliding with health interests and curing people and assisting people, you have this thing collide, because the commercial interests, they want a dime for everything that's being done, so they want to control, they want to get revenue out of it, and they lose the sight of wellness, of curing people, of getting people better. So that's where we at right now. This shakeup, it's happening all over the place, right?
Frank, question: if so I know when I was having children, this goes back, my youngest is 19, so they were very encouraging to get involved with the companies that store the cord blood. That's what they call it, right? When you're doing this, so you sign and then you pay an annual fee and they store it. So for example, I'm sure I'm not the only mom who did this, right? The only parents who did this. So if I have this saved, is that something that I can only use for my family? Or if I know someone that's sickly or has a problem, because I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who's done this. I don't know what they're doing now or what they've done in the last, 10 years with births and all these vaccines and nonsense. But can we use it on any human if you have it saved, or is it just specifically for you?
You can. You just got to find you just need to find a lab that will process it for you and then give you the product that you can inject into either a member of your family or anybody else for that matter. Yeah, it's anybody. Anybody can use it. And there is no issue with when you say cord blood. So you have cord blood that is in the umbilical cord, you have the Wharton jelly, you have other biologics. They have a process of extracting all of that and then creating, uh, for example, products that have tissue, the biological tissue in it. That product can only be injected in intra-articular injection, meaning in joints. It cannot be injected in veins. You cannot do an IV with it because it will get people sick if they do that because it has biologics in it, it has tissue. Then you have more refined processes where they extract the stem cells and the exosomes. And those exosome and stem cells can be used in injections intramuscularly or intravenously, or for that matter, also intra-articularly. You just cannot take a product that is designed to be injected into a joint and inject it into the blood, but you can take something that can be injected into the blood into the joint because of particles that, of course, that they contaminate the vessel, and then the vessel, somebody can get an embolism or they can get some sort of a, you know, uh, issue because there's biologics in it, right? So when you have little tissue, like for example in Wharton jelly, when you have the the gelatinous kind of molecule that can be injected inside the art intra-articularly, inside the knee, for example, inside the shoulder, and so forth and so on. So yeah, if you have the raw material and it's saved in a bank, you can then find a lab. Many of them, they have a lab attached to it. Some of them do. And you can say, okay, I want to process it. I want to get it into this state so I can inject it. I can use it for this specific purpose. And then they will prepare it for you, charge you a fee, and take it out of the storage and do all of that and basically give you the product for you to use.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
I want to ask. I want to ask a question. Do your kids did they ever have like serious problems with like hearing like ear infections?
You talking to me, Ron?
Yes, Elisa. Yes.
No.
Okay.
Why?
Well, okay. So my father was a pharmacist who became a natural pharmacist. He went from being a defender of drug companies in the 1970s when he got his license to somebody by the time of the probably the early 90s, he was already having serious questions about the pharmaceutical industry. And he got his certified clinical nutrition a certificate, and then he started to migrate more into health and wellness, and then he focused on he did stuff with compounding, like like hormones and things of that nature. And I'll never forget him. Talking about drugs, he always told me. He said I'll never. Well, I don't know. He always didn't always tell me this, but I'll never forget when he said this. That one day he said, "I don't care what anybody tells you. Don't let no, never let anybody convince you that they have a Prozac deficiency, ever, because that there is no such thing as a Prozac deficiency." He's like, "What when your body is screaming, and it's when your body is talking to you, all of the things that you are feeling." He had this really elaborate. It was like a 6-page health questionnaire that took probably 2.5 to 3 hours to fill out because it was so detailed. But what you would do is it would produce a score. It was something that you did manually, and I think later on they this is in the 90s, obviously. Later on they made it so it was automatic. But whatever. The point of the matter is that he took that and he was able to ascertain what was really wrong with people based on that questionnaire, and it was really fascinating. But he was a big proponent of balancing hormones, um, progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, estradiol, all those. And he's like, and he one of the things that he always told me was, and a lot of the I didn't read all the stuff that he did. He probably read 50 books on it, and I mean, he was probably in the top 50 people in the United States that understood hormones. I mean, he was that high level, and well respected. Whenever I would go to conferences with him, I mean, he was just like he was a speaker and all kinds of stuff. So, but anyway, he said that a lot of times when women don't give when they have C-sections,
Yeah.
there's something vaginally that occurs.
Yeah, you pass all the it's so that's why they push these C-sections too, because you get all your immunity and whatever else through the canal.
Through the vaginal canal.
Yes.
Correct. Vaginal birth.
Yes.
Exactly. And that C-sections they're something that is really is not, they shouldn't be done unless it's an absolute necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. In my case, I would say it was a semi-necessity. I wouldn't say like I was, facing death. But the problem is that once you have one, they're very reluctant for you to go vaginally the next time, and so people do it and they do it successfully, but they generally don't want you to. But I agree 100%. And I think about that all the time. The other thing, not that we're really getting into health, which is fun, but the other thing that a lot of women don't know is that when you breastfeed, the very first time that baby is getting the colostrum and all the stuff it needs from that first time you start breastfeeding, and of course they've convinced us that you need to use formula through the years and all this kind of stuff. But I think people are going more and more back to that, to the natural. I mean, that's how God made us. But there's so many things that the mother's body, gives to the baby in so many ways. And I think we need a lot of education back to that for people to realize. I think they tried to convince women like, it's a bother and it's your body and all this kind of stuff. And,
it's in some ways, the C-section thing is almost a efficiency for the doctor, because, if we're gonna make sure that you have your baby on such and such a day, so you're gonna come in, we're gonna do a C-section.
Not only that, they get paid more, Ron.
What's that?
They get paid more.
Well, of course they get paid more, but if you plan it to be done at a certain time, then it makes it like it's good for the doctor from the standpoint that he can now, I'm just going to schedule it on this day.
Yeah. But most, I don't know the statistics, so I don't even want to say, but you've got the ones where they're planned, right? Which most cases they're planned because there's some indication there's going to be a difficult birth, or it's your second or third C-section, so they plan it. But for the most people will go in and then they'll decide, when the baby's about to be delivered, there's some issue or an emergency or whatever. But I can tell you that when I had my C-sections, it took longer to wheel me in, prep me. That baby was out like that. You know what I'm saying? The actual process is so, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to.
But here's my question: How do you know that the potential birth was going to have complications?
They have to look at how big they, what they think the baby size is. If you're the size of your cervix, other issues you've had during the pregnancy. I mean, I'm sure there's as many answers to that question as there are. So it just depends. I mean, my sister had to have an emergency one, because there was some real complications with the baby that they could see, and they didn't, but every situation is going to be different. The point is that I think the inclination is to use them more and more, and to not really, and then, not for anything, but if you're not dilated, which I wasn't, if you're not effaced, which I wasn't, you know, you could be there for 36 hours or whatever in a lot of pain, or, you know, a lot of issues, or they induce it. So, you know, a lot of times women are faced with that issue too, especially the women who maybe don't want to take drugs, you know. So it becomes an individual decision. But all I'm saying is you can't discount that the natural way of birth, if it's not going to harm the baby or the mother, is always the way to go, because of all the natural immunities that, you know, and you know, positive stuff. Plus the you know, the recovery, from what I've discussed with a lot of people, is a lot easier too. You know, you've just had surgery, so you can't walk, can't drive, whatever. But yeah, no, thankfully, no. But I'm sure there's probably things my kids got because, you know, I didn't do it natural. You know, we'll never really know.
But anyway, I'm going to switch the conversation over to Chuck. Chuck, did you get a price glitch this morning with XRP?
Actually, what we were seeing is something that we've been seeing for the last 5 years, and it's because we are running a test ledger on our entire banking system globally. Truthfully, that's what's happening. So we've always seen that there are these enormous type prices, 12,000, 200,000, and it's been going on since the very beginning, all this stuff. So what that is a bleed over price. Are they showing it to us just to keep us interested? I'm not sure. Is it somehow, or it just leaks in? I don't believe so. I think they show it things.
It's important that, you know, we cross the finish line healthy. So that's why we got, you know, when I go to my drip bar and get my Myers cocktail and muscle recovery and B12, B3, B6, zinc, vitamin D, the NAD shot, all of that. When I got to these people, I said, listen, before we get started, I said, you don't mind if I put my health guru on speed dial? I got him on speed dial, Frank, and it said, that's never happened before. We never had anybody come in that has a health guru on speed dial. So Frank was like, when Frank got off the phone with them, they're like, oh my God, that guy's like an encyclopedia on this shit, you know? And but anyway, it's important that we cross the finish line extremely healthy so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. So I think between Frank and I, you know, staying alive here in Cape Canaveral and his methodology of regenerative medicine, as he calls it, I think we got the recipe to live 200 years right now, guys. Seriously. I really do. Your microphone is muted.
I also don't think we should minimize the, you know, we're talking about all these amazing things that are available from a physical standpoint, a medical standpoint. But let's remember, one of the ways that they have harmed us greatly is through the idea that we cannot control ourselves, and we're not in control of our own bodies and our consciousness and how we look at things in a way that gives us that empowerment. You know, people have learned to become detached, that they need to have a doctor tell them what's wrong, or that mysteriously something can go wrong. People don't meditate enough. They don't focus on things that will, you know, clear the pineal gland to allow them to get downloads and to be connected to source. We have, anybody who's ever read Joe Dispenza's books knows there's so much power we have in our consciousness. And I believe that's the thing they fear the most, because when we actually put our minds to what we want and we think positively and we tell ourselves we are healthy, and we don't expect, oh, I'm 60, I'm 70, this should be happening, I should expect that to happen. That's what impedes us from growing old and from living long lives, because we've put that message in ourselves that, oh, we should expect to have this problem or that problem. And I think combined with, and that leads you to the things that you men are talking about, which are these other modalities that increase even more the health that we have.
Yeah. But there is one caveat, okay? There is one caveat. In the end, God is sovereign. and he will call any of us whenever he likes, regardless of how much regenerative medicine we might do. Okay.
But that's a different thing, Frank. Like
right, yeah, I know.
That's a different. I'm talking about where we are pushed into this mindset of thinking we're supposed to be sick and live short lives.
Was there some sort of push in the past to persuade people not to be having home births, to push them back into the hospital?
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. I got.
Anyone hear me?
You know what I have? I have 107 speaking in Cantonese Chinese. I got the Cantonese version of the actual documentary going up today. It is hysterical. Get ready to laugh. And Central Intelligence, CIA, doesn't stand for Central Intelligence Agency anymore. It stands for Crooks in Action. All right? Because that's what they are. They're a bunch of crooks. Anyway, tell me if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up.
佢哋喺科研界入邊已經有齊晒所有資源，佢哋可以揾到專家技術，甚至係未來先會出現嘅技術，然後喺 DARPA 系統入邊發展出嚟。如果私人企業要做，成本可能貴10倍。去到嗰5年嘅尾聲，2004年兩個都突破咗8位數。呢個其實係啲人有種神秘儀式嘅心態。發生咩事呢？佢哋就喺 DARPA 嗰邊。
Now you know I'm going to extract that piece and send it to him, right? You do understand that?
Yeah.
He gets a kick out of this. What? It sounds just like him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But I mean, listen, this is so amazing what you've been able to do, Mel, because this message we're talking about is worldwide. So now people don't, they have the wherewithal to be able to share it all over the world and have people listen to what this movie's all about.
Yeah, well, we're taking it one step further. What we're doing now is we are allowing anybody who has a Facebook account, Twitter account, they don't necessarily have to be a podcaster. They could rip the movie. By tomorrow, hopefully, if I have anything to do with it, Amber, I know she's here listening. We're going to put a big yellow red button, get instructions to download the movie here. Click there. It's going to be like step 1, step 2, step 3. Boom. Upload it to your Facebook and go wild with it. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult to figure out exactly how many visitors we're going to get, how many hits, how many people seen the movie. But I think by doing it that way, I think we maximize the potentiality of, letting it really grow unimpeded, right?
There's no way to tell how many's viewing, is there?
No, I wish there was.
Yeah.
It's going to be everywhere. We're going to put it. We're going to allow anybody and everybody to literally download it. So I'm going to see if I can find Ron Partain. I'm curious to see what Ron Partain sounds like.
What I look like speaking Chinese?
Yes, I'm trying to find it, man.
I don't remember what
Oh my God, here he is. Hold on. Script Keeper. Let's watch Script Keeper. Here we go. Can you guys hear it?
代表人民嘅國會議員要被追究責，審查仲繼續發生，呢樣嘢唔啱，我哋需要有人負責。
我只係想問一件事，我只係想睇到有人承擔一啲責任，只需民調保險山並抌出手榴彈火機，呢個正係每個美國人都希望睇到嘅，就係對我哋所有人犯下嘅罪行承擔責任嘅。
尊敬嘅總統先生，我叫卡羅爾莫林弗里森。過去25年嚟，我一直教授心身療法，並且喺 Facebook 同埋 Instagram 上擁有小組，佢哋全部喺2020年10月15號被刪除。我哋作為關心世界嘅公民，需要將我哋嘅聲音傳出去。
All right, what do you think?
Like it?
Unbelievable.
It's really great.
Yeah.
So Mel, I'd love to share with everyone this past weekend just quickly because we did, for the first time, we had a New York Awakening Summit. And, I don't have to tell you guys about New York, right? And it was really wonderful. We had some great speakers. We had Laura Eisenhower and Mike Barr. In fact, that's why they're not here today, because they stayed in New York and they're actually doing a tour of Montauk with Brad Olson and Kerry Cassidy today. And the summit was great. I mean, it was so nice to have people in New York come out. And believe me, there are a lot of people. We get a bad rap here, but hopefully this will be the first of many events, and people, I had the opportunity to tell everyone, and of course this was live streamed, about Dear Mr. President as well. And people were like, some of them that hadn't heard of it or, weren't following us already, they were so excited. So I'm hopeful that, we get that excitement going even more, especially, after people were able to hear. And we were talking about a lot of things, the financial system. We were talking about the history of finance here in the States. We were talking about aliens and, child trafficking and lots of other things. It was like a mini quantum summit, because we only had 7 speakers, but we had like the same categories,
Okay.
and it was great. And I'm really hopeful that people will watch the live stream, which I'll put in the chat. But, I think if everybody started to do these kinds of things in their states, in their cities, in their towns, and they pulled people together and they had these events. And that's one of the things we've been trying to encourage people to do, for example, with Dear Mr. President, is to have these screenings. If you have a place or an organization, it's free. You can access this. If your community only speaks a certain language, now there's no excuse, because we've translated this all into languages. So you don't even have to worry about people not understanding it. So we're still pushing this, and anybody out there, please you can contact me, and we can try to work this out. If you just need a little guidance or a little help, or, how maybe to promote it. And of course, we want to help you promote. If you're doing something, we'll mention it on the podcast.
Okay, we got someone here. I was hoping you respond with something, Mel. I don't understand what this gentleman's
I
asking.
think she was asking about the property tax, or I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a male or female.
Okay.
He was asking that, let's see, what I don't understand is, if property taxes are already illegal, why do we have to vote to have property taxes done away with? Is this part of the movie? And this was based on seeing something on Telegram, on, I guess it was yours Telegram channel, Mel, about Ron DeSantis and the Florida Doge. So
well, they want to expose this, and they want the movie to be sort of gaslit, and the people who are stealing your tax money. And I say stealing candidly, because they are stealing your money. There's billions, there's tens of billions of dollars in revenues being collected here in Florida. The palm tree should be you should have like $100 bills taped to it. That's how much money there is here. And they don't want that going away, because their gravy train is going away. But now we're finding out that there's 200 million missing there and 300 million missing here. And DOG is going to be up your ass. And if I have the only thing we should vote for is, do we give you a life sentence? Do we torture you for 6 months? Or do we just put a bullet in your fucking head? That's the only thing we need to vote for, because you're guilty. You're all fucking guilty, and you're all fucking going away. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So that's the only thing we should be voting for. We should be voting for anything else. We know that they stole money. Now we're going to put the artificial intelligence computer with the big balls on your computer, and we'll find out in 29 minutes exactly where all the money's at. That's what, but yes, taxes are going to go away. The property taxes will go away. The income taxes will go away. All of it is going to go away. Is there going to be some taxes on things you don't need, like, a $79,000 stereo system? Perhaps. Is there going to be?
They're doing that in Virginia now. They've been doing it for a long time, Mal. In Virginia, they charge property taxes not only on home, but also on property like cars.
Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, thank God they don't do that in California yet, but in California they only do that for businesses to have.
Like I always say, you can't move left or right. You can't go straight. You can't go backwards. Someone has got your hands in your pocket every minute of every day.
Aren't they in California? Aren't they asking for odometer readings annually now, and then they're going to charge you based on mileage?
Well, that's what they want to do. That law is yet to be passed and implemented. But yeah, that you're right. You're absolutely wrong. For the past 5 years, they've been meeting at the AQMD. They've been meeting in Sacramento, and they've been doing all of these white papers. How
Well,
are we going to charge by the mile? Are we going to do that? Right?
you know why gas is so expensive in California is because of the AQMD. Because because they have like, I want to say there's like 60 different regions for the AQMD is Air Quality Management District, and what they do is every like they'll have like a geographical area, like a county, if you will, and that particular area has a higher concentration of pollutant particulates in the air. And so what they do is based on where you are and how much pollution is in the air, you need a different formula of gas to go to that section of the state. And because the last I heard, I think there was like 59 different formulas of gas, depending on where you are located in California for you to get delivered. And so because there's so many different formulas, it costs a whole lot more to produce gas because they have to produce to produce it in smaller quantities. It's like if you're going to make chocolate chip cookies, whether you're making 12 or 48, it doesn't take that much extra time to make 48. You just have to add a few extra ingredients to get to the volume to get up to that 48. Whereas if you had to make chocolate chip cookies with chocolate chips, and then you had to do another batch where you were making chocolate chip cookies with M&Ms, and you do another batch where you're making it with Reese's Pieces, that takes a lot longer. So
you're right.
Yeah.
And by the way, just last week, Newsom announced is going to increase the production of the flex fuel because he thinks he sounds intelligent by doing that, because that's basically. And I don't know if you know this, last Friday was a huge explosion just less than 15 miles from my house. A Chevron refinery exploded.
Really?
It was all over the news. I mean, it was like, I believe 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. It was a huge.
Are you down in South Bay?
Yeah, Long Beach. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I believe it was you saw that, right? I think it was by El Segundo. It was a huge explosion. And so I think these are acts of terrorism which are going to contribute to increasing gas prices even more. And
or sabotage.
Say what?
Or sabotage.
Oh, sabotage. Yeah, definitely sabotage. Yeah.
Sabotage,
I mean, there's been a lot of them.
Jewish lightning. That's what we call it in New York.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. I mean, forget about. I was monitoring all of the train derailments, and by the way, I've been monitoring those for the past 6 years, not for the past 6 months. There's not one where there's at least one train derailment. And if you look at worldwide, if you look at all the data globally, we're talking about 2 to 3 rail derailments every 24-hour period for the past 6 years, nonstop, every single day, every day. There's not one day, there's not one train derailment in the globe. Within the United States, however, there is at least one every 2 to 3 days, at least one. That is, how can that happen? I mean, there are some of the bigger, like East Palestine, for example. That was a big one. There's also, there's a few of those that people don't talk about it. The news, the only reason why East Palestine was on the news is because so many people in the community were affected. I mean, we're talking about thousands of people were affected. But there's other train derailments.
Where do you check for train derailments?
I check. I go on Azazel News. Azazel News is on Telegram, and also the police report on Telegram. Gotcha. It's and I believe police report on Telegram is owned by a California group, and they really do a great job posting anything that is police across the United States, and sometimes even outside of the United States, if the issue is as egregious as they believe. They use some sort of a system to post it, but the data is really amazing. And also, you can go online and do a search on train derailments. I believe you have the Department of Transportation that has also a list.
I was wondering if there was like a website where you could go to that would just like list train derailments. Like, not that it's not. I mean, anybody I could do that, but
yeah, but it's really amazing how many there have been there. I mean, literally thousands. So there's maybe about a few thousand train developments every single year in the United States alone, which goes to show you that national security, or that we don't have enough people manning the railroads or looking at safety issues within the railroads. And we need more cameras. We need more surveillance because the railroad at one point used to be the backbone of America, and there was a preservation of the railroads because you never know when you're going to need them in national emergency, and they've just been let go, completely abandoned. And I hope the Trump administration is doing something, the new Department of Transportation. But
what do you mean they've been let go?
Not enough, especially during the Biden administration. There was the union were always in like fighting for better pay, so there were less people working. The federal safety of the railroads was kind of abandoned during the Biden administration completely. Like they didn't give a damn. They were like,
aren't there like, haven't they consolidated the rail companies to now there's like I don't know, was it like 5 or 6 left in the country now?
Right. And in theory, those companies have been tasked to also have a security plan and also a safety plan, a maintenance plan, all of those plans. They're part of the federal government, basically handshake with all of these companies that, quote unquote, are supposed to operate the rail system.
Are railroad police considered federal, or are they a private company with a do they have federal authority, I guess is my question.
I don't know. I did not deep dive in it. I mean, it would be a full-time job to do that. That would, if somebody does it, I think that they would get a lot of following because nobody's doing it. And I agree with you. I would love to see a central data, like a website that gives you all the stats about the railroads and everything. That would be awesome.
It's kind of like it's kind of like what with MonkeyWorks does with the air with the
flight. Yeah.
Or like all the earthquakes.
Well, I didn't know this until recently. I think it was Mike Adams when he talked about I guess we were having the severe droughts several years back. The Mississippi River levels were at like critically low levels upstream. And they were talking about that they were so low that they couldn't use the barge traffic. And I had no idea that the barge traffic actually is almost 4 times what rail traffic is, and 4 to 5 times what rail traffic is in terms of moving supplies and things around the country. I had no idea it was that the barge system was that big. I mean, am I saying something that did anybody else know that, or am I not alone in being surprised at hearing that?
I didn't know that, but it sort of doesn't surprise me because there's a lot of stuff. Like, just look at what happened when everything got clogged up in the canal, in the Suez Canal. I mean, it just affected everything. So if you consider
that's not really barge. So if they're using if you're using containers, that's not really going to go into a barge. barge, the containers are going to go into intermodal, which is going to be either trucks, rail, or ships. Barge traffic is like harvesting of wheat and things like that. You know, all the major agricultural stuff. Most of that stuff is moved by barge. I mean, believe it or not, one of the there's a port there's a West Coast port in Idaho. Believe it or not.
It's not connected to anything, though, is it?
Yes, it is. It's connected to the Snake River to the Columbia River, and it goes right out to the sea.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow. I did not know that, Ron, about that it was so much greater.
Yeah.
If that's
so, but that's one of the reasons why, you know, the weather is such a big deal. You know, I pay attention. I was a weatherman in the Navy, so I'm kind of a weather geek, and I did a little bit of deep diving, and I found out that in 2003, the Middle East, specifically Iraq and Iran area, that area of the globe, it was the worst drought they'd had in 1,000 years. Do you think that's coincidental?
Absolutely not.
Maybe it has to do with something that's going on here because it's been raining for 5 weeks.
No, I'm
crazy.
Talking about, yeah, I'm talking about in 2003. The year
I remember that. Yeah,
the year we invaded Iraq, they had it was the worst drought in 1,000 years. Yeah.
Didn't they find the Gilgamesh tomb?
I don't know.
At that time, around 2003.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, let's not forget that, and I just came off of this weekend with a lot of talk about portals and, you know, off planet and interplanet and all this stuff. And there's, you know, a lot that was going on in that region and still is when it comes to this. So it doesn't surprise me, the coincidentalness of, you know, us going in there and being in there, and then, you know, droughts and all this other stuff going on. So I think there's a lot more to it than just, oh, gee, you know, the weather shifted.
Looking for stargates.
Yeah, stargates. Exactly.
1928, they found a Stargate in Iraq.
Yep.
It's the same picture, and they used the same scene in the movie Stargate as the picture from 1928 in the movie. As they raised it up, it's the same picture. And Ron, what happened?
Why we went to Iraq is not just because of the oil. Is he got his hands on about half a dozen of these Stargates, and he was handing them out to his Arab neighbors. That's the story that nobody else knows about. Yep. And that's one of the main reasons, because you're not allowed to be, you know, a dictator in the Middle East and own Stargates. It's a big no-no.
Yeah. You know, someone just posted in the chat, you know, that we're supposed to trust the plan, but it feels demoralizing. I know it's hard. Like, I think we all get frustrated, but you know, we have to kind of go through the dark to get to the light. And I think it's just all about us keeping our vibration really high, because the higher we can all collectively keep it, the faster things are going to move.
Can I let me address that? I'm working on a book right now. I've got several in my head, but one is I was going to title it Q-Tards and Bible Thumpers, and I'm not going to title it that now. That was just a working title. But and the reason I was going to do that is because Q gets a bad name because of a lot of the people who follow it are parroting what content creators, people before us, put out there in terms of addressing what the drops said. They didn't read the drops themselves and think about it critically. They allowed somebody else to do that. And that's kind of why I said, Q-Tards and Bible Thumpers, because I think Christians a lot of times are their own worst enemy, just like the people who are following Q are their own worst enemy, because what they do is they parrot things that they don't know for an absolute fact as concrete truth. And what it does is, when it doesn't happen, or it happens in a different way, then people they either tune it out or oh yeah, it's just a conspiracy theory, you're just a wacko. The whole point of the Q drops was not to tell people what's going to happen or trust the plan or anything. The whole point of the Q drops was to get people to change how they looked at information. They recognized that we're coming into a 5th generation war, a war environment, and we're actually migrating into a 6th generation war environment with artificial intelligence. Actually, the 5th gen was to manipulate how you think about things. 6th gen is the AI already knowing how you feel about things, and it's essentially automatically cutting you off without your knowledge. So like ghosting or what was it, like shadow banning and things like that. So people need to understand what the Q operation was. It wasn't about telling us how things are going to go. And I understand that there's a lot of people who have fatigue. I get that. I've got fatigue. Sometimes I just have to check out I've been checked out for almost 3 weeks. Actually, I've been checked out since Charlie Kirk. I don't even really want to. I don't even want to hardly look at the news. I get little things, little tidbits here and there, but I'm just checked out right now, and I only do that for my own sanity, because when people when this consumes their lives, they don't live. And a lot of times I don't mean to dominate this, but a lot of times I look at people who are normies, and in some ways almost envious of them, because it's like they don't have all these thoughts in their head.
They don't have the stress level because they don't know nothing about nothing.
Right?
Exactly. Is it a curse?
Right.
I would never go back to that. Never.
I wouldn't go back either, but it's true, Ron.
I'm not saying. Listen, no, don't misconstrue my words. I'm not saying that I want to be asleep. I'm not the guy I'm not the guy in the Matrix who says, I know this steak is fake, but it tastes so good. I'm not that guy. But at the same time, I think it's healthy sometimes to check out a little bit and just take a step back and enjoy life. Because I think a lot of times what we do is we so hyper focus and get into all this information. It's like it's fear porn is what it is, and you get addicted to it. So
you're so right. And you know something? There's a video. I'm going to try to bring it on next week. Stewie, you and I, you might have seen it. It's this woman, and she's got to be like in her 40s. And she was saying how every single thing she does in her life is a problem. Like, in other words, she goes to the supermarket. Why do I have to know what ingredients are? She hears something on the news. She's like, why do I have to know that this is happening? Like every aspect. And she said she doesn't want to, she's jealous, quote unquote, of people who don't think like this. And I do think it's really important for the soul and the emotional part of us. You have to have at least one day that you completely get off the grid. Put your phone, your electronics. It's a hard thing to do. Go enjoy nature, enjoy your family, enjoy your pets, play a game, people are always on their TVs now. Just play a game of Scrabble, enjoy yourself the way we did old school when we didn't have these devices and getting bombarded from, 10 different ways.
Pretend there's no internet, pretend there's no electricity, do something that is like the ground. There's a reason. There's a reason that people in what are they the Amish, there's a reason that the Amish live a long time. And I'm not saying that we need to be Amish. I'm just saying, but I mean, there's a valuable lesson there,
Yeah.
Every day I disconnect. I spend a lot of time connecting, but I do disconnect, and I never take my phone when I do it. If I go to the gym, if I go out for a run, cycling, I don't take it. I've got an emergency BlackBerry. I'll take it if I'm out on a long bike ride. But the Q drops, we all made a mistake in the past by wanting to try and decode these things and make predictions and wake people up. And we went wrong in a lot of that. And people said, you said this would happen and you said that would happen and stuff like that. And we understand that. And we all learned ourselves not to do that, which is why we're very wary now to date fag and say this is going to happen. You know what I mean?
1000%.
The Q drops were to build an army of awakened people to beat the mainstream media, and they were building a reference library because they weren't telling us. In fact, they were, but they weren't telling us when, the first 7 or 8 years beforehand, but they built a reference library of the future proves the past. So when things are happening now, we can go back and see all these kinds of stuff. And this is what Trump and Scavino and General Flynn keep putting these comms and hat tips out and everything like that. And where we go one, we go all memes is to keep people on board and keep people's spirits uplifted, and not sit on your ass at home and trust the plan, because that's not what it means, is it? A military civilian alliance means we've got to get off our asses and get in there and do our bit.
Didn't he do this yesterday in a speech?
I personally think that they rolled it out meticulously to keep us from getting into a civil war. I really do.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
and they're also not done.
I do think, I know we talk about censorship and stuff all the time, but I think the White Hats have been in control, not all, but some parts of that, because I think, there was so much information being put out at once and stuff. Well, number one, they wanted to wake people up to the censorship of us lot being shutting down. But if this was an 8-year public plan from the Q drops, they didn't want too much information getting out too fast. So, dear
drip,
Mr.
drip.
Let us know.
Drip, drip.
Yeah.
2 things we need to talk about. We got a full moon tonight, and Wells Fargo and Chase will be shut down for a whole. What was that? You heard about that?
I have not. I have not seen that. But have you guys ever looked at the Chase logo really closely?
Nope.
Trying to picture it.
Is the 666?
I read something about that, Ron, one time. You're like jogging my memory. I don't remember. I gotta look up what it looks like.
Well, the good news is gold has reached I think gold has reached the max, right?
For the time being, that's just the appetizer.
Well, yeah. Well, I think once it goes to $5,500 an ounce, I think that's when we might be beginning to see the RV go into place, and the shutdown also is related to the RV, I believe, because
Donald Trump wants everybody to be healthy. Donald Trump wants everybody to be wealthy. Donald Trump wants everybody to understand how money works, so that not only do we make America great and make it rich again, we have to make America to where when you got the XRP, Frank and Chuck and everybody in this room, your XRP is not XRP. Your XRP is a fucking money printing machine. You're going to be able to take that and give it to the Ripple Bank, which is now partners with the Treasury, and they're going to give you the AMMs, automatic money makers. Even if let's say we're wrong and maybe we're not going to be multi-billionaires, but we're going to be billionaires, 1 billion, 2 billion. There's going to be a lot of those, right? And you're getting 1% or 2% interest a year on $1 billion. That's $10-20 million a year. You can't spend 20, even if your sushi is gold plated with 24-karat gold leaf with caviar on top. You can't spend that kind of money unless you buy stupid shit like helicopters that should be in the Smithsonian. By the way, Chuck, I hate to burst your bubble. You're not going to be buying the Falcon X. You're going to be buying a flying machine. Okay, the Falcon X. I will personally take you to the Smithsonian to take you and look at that. What could have been. Okay, and now you got a machine that's much smaller, but it flies a lot faster. Right. That's what we're
Mel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. Everybody here, if you remember this, every year about November, December, Donald Trump when it was on a rally speech before the election and while he was running for office in the past 3 years and so forth, he would always say the following: "You're gonna like it. You're gonna like what's coming Christmas. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be good. He always says that, and nothing would happen. I believe his statements are taking out of a timeline. I believe the Christmas is what he was talking about last year, the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, which was the last speech he gave.
The thing you have to understand, Frank, there's a lot of forces that don't want us to have this financial wealth transfer.
No, I know, but I think it's talking about is this Christmas.
To breathe clean air. There's a lot of forces. By the way, don't put solar panels on your roof. It's suicide mission. It's radiation. The only way you get 30% off in Florida to get solar panels on your roof is you have to put it directly on the roof so that it can radiate your fucking ass. Okay, it's got to be on your roof because they don't tell you about the radiation. It's bad for you. Okay, then you got to come see me at Staying Alive so I can fix you. But anyway, needless to say, you know, there's a lot of forces that don't want us to have any of this stuff. Okay, they want you to be broke and you'll be happy and you'll have nothing and you'll be happy. No, we're gonna win. We're gonna have everything. You guys are going to prison for the rest of your life. The guys maybe that are not so bad, and the guys that are really, really bad, you're gonna get one behind the ear down in Guantanamo Bay. That's what's gonna happen to you.
But I think that's what's happening now. I think it's going to be this Christmas because if you think about the logical conclusion of what's going to be happening in this shutdown, think about it. Okay,
what do you
it's
think
already
is
been
in Florida, for example?
So,
what do you think is happening in Florida when they find out that there's like billions of dollars missing over the last 20 years, right? And we know who the guilty parties are. You think that if there was a voting situation where it's torture for 6 months and then you kill them, how many people do you think would vote for that? I know I would, right? How do you want to see these people gone? We got to freeze all of their assets and take it and give it back to the people, right? What are we adding to the stage? There you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, SWAT sticker.
So that's because J.P. Morgan Chase had a huge influence on building up the machine in Germany for World War II. I obviously, as a history guy, what I look at what happened in the 1930s and 40s, it was all deliberate. It was they failed to achieve what they needed to achieve from a global government standpoint in World War I with the League of Nations. It was too weak. They didn't really get Germany totally destroyed, and then so they built them back up and then crushed them. So and they also built up the Soviet Union. I mean, when you look at the United States, the Soviet Union would not have been able to survive the United States without the United States. The United States essentially gave technology and funding to the Soviet Union until its collapse in 1991. They shared technology with them. They shared. If you ever read Anthony Sutton's book about the greatest enemy money can buy, and the Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, he says it in there. He actually saw the manifests. We were shipping the Russians materials to make nuclear weapons in 1944 before we even detonated Trinity. So, what you think about the world and what you know about the world is
two different things.
And Ron, that doesn't even include the fact that in 1952, we know that there was the surrender agreement that was done with the Nazis. We won the war with Germany, but we did not win with the Nazis. And we could be on here for another 5 hours with that.
You want the collapse to happen, guys. Go against the grain, okay? I know I did it. Chuck is getting ready to do it. My friend Drew did it. A bunch of people that were at my center for the screening, Dear Mr. President, did it. We bought what's called a religious trust, irrevocable trust, and we put all of our assets. I know that the taxes are going to go away. I know the income taxes are going to go. I know the property taxes are going to go away. But if we all get on that page, we're sending a message directly to Washington saying, hey, we're going to do it now. We're doing it right now. We're not waiting for DeSantis because that might still take another year, might take another 2 years. Mel Carmine is going to buy a house next year. You know how many knuckle fights I'm going to get into the county, because you could do that too. You go into the county, you get into a couple of knuckle fights. Carmine wins, they lose, and I pay zero property tax. That's what's going to happen. Everything, my crypto, gold, silver, dinars, everything, my business, the chairs, we photographed everything. We put it in a trust. We're going to get it notarized. End the story. Done. You owe nothing to nobody because I just gave everything to God. You can't tax God. You can't put God in jail. These are our God alienable rights. This is what God gave us. We're not supposed to be paying the tax man. And if you know how to do it, if you don't, you'll come down to Staying Alive in a few months. And my friend Kobus is going to be there. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a room full of people, and we're going to show you how to get off the grid for a couple of grand. And and you have peace of mind that nobody can ever come take your shit, and you don't have to pay any capital gains taxes on your shit. Okay, and if you want to buy a lot of XRP, the numbers right down below, 786-704-8817. I can sell you as much as you want. Nothing $1,000.
Mel,
Mel,
are you going to advertise that?
I gotta bail, guys.
No worries.
Good to see everybody.
Bye,
Um,
Ron.
Later on.
Hi,
see
Ron.
you guys next time.
Good to see you, Ron.
Mel, do you have a date on that yet?
What's that?
You know, with Cobus.
Cobus and I are going to be starting a show here soon. It's going to be all about a little bit about the straw man and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be about how to get off the grid. As a matter of fact, we're going to be calling the county because the county, we purchased the equipment, right, for staying alive, right? We got $350,000 invested in there between all the modalities, everything that Amber keeps buying from Amazon, from Jeff Bezos right here. Okay.
I'll give you a
She knows my kids.
Yeah.
Because there's 5 packages every day outside.
Every week, every day. Yeah, every day. It's unbelievable. But anyway, long story short, we put everything in the trust. Cobus and I are going to be doing a few shows. We're going to invite everybody, and if you know anybody in Cape Canaveral, people will fly in. People are going to fly in for this because you're going to spend $5,000, for example, to get off the grid. And what's going to happen? What's going to end up happening? You save $12,000 on your property taxes. You don't have to pay any income taxes on your capital gains, on your XRP, your gold, your silver. None of it. It pays for itself wickedly fast. Why wouldn't you want to do it? Send Washington a message. Send DeSantis a message. We're not waiting for you. We're doing it the fuck right now.
But you're gonna advertise when that is, right? Because I think I'm gonna come down for that, and I think we got a lot of other people that we know that are gonna want to come down in person.
Oh yeah. He actually will stay there. I told him, I said, when I get done with him, he'll be renting an office in my building right around the corner from Staying Alive, because he's going to have to, because a bunch of people are going to come down. Who doesn't want to? You don't own nothing. None of his. He's done like 700 of these things. Not one of them to date has ever been challenged. Never, not once. Right? Who wouldn't want to do that? Why do you want to pay income taxes? Why do you want to pay property taxes? Why do you want to pay anybody anything? And he's also gonna have a piece of paper that you're gonna put on your window of the car, and when the cop pulls you over, say, hey, read that, asshole. And they can't touch you. How much is that worth?
Yeah.
I mean, we got a problem with you cops because you got 92 IQ at best. Those are the smart ones. The really stupid ones, they got 82 IQ, right? All right, they're stupid as a box of rocks. And the reality is, the whole thing has been set up with linguistics to get you into a trap.
That's exactly right. And the language, and that's why if you do nothing else, never say, I understand when they ask you, do you understand?
And you never walk through that gate in the courtroom. Once you walk through that gate, you're literally in their jurisdiction. They got you.
You're dead, man. You're dead.
It's the biggest scam ever, and nobody wants to wake up to this fact.
Hey,
That's
Mel, I have an
maritime
idea.
law, isn't it? You're on the deck of the ship as soon as you go through that gate.
That's so correct.
I want to make a suggestion when you guys plan this out, like you and Chuck, and then you have Cobus. I think if there's going to be a lot of people that want to be there, but maybe can't for whatever their extenuate, you should charge people a fee to live stream this or to come to tune in.
Yes.
So that they can be part of this, because not everybody can get there. And I think it's so important to get this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Chuck and what's his name? Mark and Brian are going to be on stage talking about the new financial system, XRP, XLM, the dinars, the gold, the silver, all of it, and why everybody should be involved. Number one. We're not going to have these meetings when XRP is, $1,200 or $12,000, because everybody is going to be priced out. We're going to do it right now because the price of XRP is still at $3. Okay. Once the price explosion happens, it's over. So you come down, you learn, you get comfortable, you put your money in. If XRP was going to disappear, it would have disappeared 11 years ago, 12 years ago. It's still here for a reason, because it's the new financial system. It's going to take over the world, whether you like it or not.
Mel, question for you and Chuck. at this point. Do you know if those religious trusts also work for Canada? Someone in the chat asked.
I saw that too. Not sure.
Okay,
It
we'll
works
find out.
everywhere. It
We'll be
works
talking about
everywhere.
this.
Yes. The answer is yes. It works
Oh.
everywhere.
Good.
Absolutely.
So the UK also?
Yes.
All right. Good.
Yes. Because the same God that put the people that live here in the United States here is the same God that put the people that live in the UK and Africa and Italy and Germany and France and so on.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody stay tuned. We're going to let you know.
So, look, at the end of the day, the only way you wake people up is you gotta make noise. You gotta have workshops. You gotta make it convenient for them to come down. People are starving for the information. We're gonna make it easy for you to come down while you're sitting there. Guess what? You're marinating this beautiful biophotonic light system energy on steroids, and your body's healing the body, and you're learning something that is incredible value that could cause what's called generational wealth. Okay? Stop keeping your money in the bank and give it to Mel Carmine. Mel Carmine will call one of his many brokerage firms all over the world. We'll put the money up. You get your XRP. Here's the formula, right? You got extra money at the end of the week. Once you're in, buy more. It goes down, buy more. It goes up, buy more. It stays level, buy more. Just keep buying and hold. That's all you got to do is buy and hold. And then one day you say, Chuck, Mel, Elisa, Frank, come on in.
And to work with your brokers, of course, we're suggesting that to everyone, right? But there is a minimum of 10,000.
10,000 is the minimum, and there's no maximum. So if you got $100 million and you want to spend 10 million or invest $10 million on XRP, can my broker do 10 million? He could do unlimited.
But here's a little suggestion to anybody who feels like, well, I don't have that money for whatever reason. I take every bit of change, whether I go shopping, you just have change. It's just always accumulating. You got quarters.
And let me clear something up. It's $10,000 your first time. Your second time, you got an extra 2,000, and you call them. You got a direct line. You can go in for 2,000. The next time, next month comes by, you only got 1,500. You can go in for 1,000. Next month comes, you got a good month. You got 5,000. You can go in for 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. I got people going in and out all the time.
But we also want to help, like the little guy too. We maybe can't physically help them, but just save up your change. Mel's always joking, like have a lemonade stand. But
have a lemonade stand. Have a garage sale.
hundreds of dollars every month in change, and I just buy XRP.
Exactly. I would put, if I don't have any kids, but if I had kids, I put them on a street corner and say, my mom and dad need to buy XRP. Please buy my lemonade. $20 glass.
Oh God.
That would probably make the news, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You're exploiting
Chuck, excited about doing workshops?
Very. In fact, I wanted to talk about this weekend. He had a little open house, which there was quite a few people that showed up. But what was amazing after is all the people stayed and they were striving for information from us. I mean, everyone. They didn't even leave. They were there for hours.
Didn't they?
Yeah, they wanted to know everything. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have any idea when you're going to have this workshop?
Quickly.
As we start the show on a regular basis, within 8 weeks, we're going to start doing a workshop. We're going to blast it out to our database that we have accumulated, thousands of people through the quantum summit that we do, and staying alive and all the different crazy things that I do. So we got thousands of people that we can mail that are local people saying, hey, come on down, we're having a workshop. Plus the people that are here. Plus we're going to do is a 2 or 3 hour workshop for XRP and the quantum, the financial system, the new financial system. And then we're going to do a 2 hour workshop on how to get off the grid. So we'll take a break in between. We'll go do some lunch locally. Everybody comes back, boom, and then we'll do the irrevocable, religious irrevocable trust.
Do you think like December is a date to think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Maybe right after maybe either before the holidays or right after the holidays.
Okay,
exactly.
I just want people to have it in their head, like a rough idea of like, okay, I'm thinking of it for that time, so you can prepare.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and I won't say who we had there this past week, but we had somebody who's friends with Nino. Nino last week mentioned it on his show that someone he knows is dying of cancer, and I won't mention who he is or where he lives. Well, I'll tell you, he lives somewhere in Florida. Florida's big, don't matter. And I, the guy's he's going. Basically, the doctor said to him, "Hey, go on your vacation to Hawaii, and when you come back, get ready to make funeral arrangements. You're not going to make it." That's really what the doctor told him. I said, now you're talking to Dr. Mel Carmine, which I'm not a doctor, and I don't give, advice as far as health is concerned. But I said, look, you could live, but you're going to have to come live here. So after he's done, because he was throwing up almost like every morning. Yesterday, guess what?
He didn't throw up.
Yesterday, he didn't. Normally, as soon as he wakes up, he throws up. He didn't even have a sensation like he was going to throw up. And he threw up a little bit, which is a lot less than usual in late afternoon, early evening, right? So he's starting to scratch his head. Maybe there's something to this. He's doing two plasma med sessions per day. He's in the system, 17 hours a day, and he's starting to feel, a little bit different. I wish he would have stayed for at least 2 weeks and then go on his vacation. I said, is there any way I can get you to cancel your vacation and stay? He goes, no. It's already booked and he probably doesn't have a refund and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But this is the doctors you have today. They'll tell you, hey, go home and make funeral arrangements because they're incompetent.
Well, and they can't think outside the box. And let me tell you, I don't know anybody else on this right now. How many times a day do you see an ad, give to the Cancer Society, give to the Life Garden Foundation? What are we giving? Yeah. Where is the money going? All these years they're researching, they're killing animals, they're doing all this bullshit, and they just don't have a cure. How about take the aluminum out of everything? How about take the shit out of the foods? How about lead a clean life and do things that are energetic and frequency based, and then you don't need all this nonsense. Walking, donate, everybody's brainwashed. Where's my money going?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we have. I mean, we have a system that's broken. I personally believe, this is my own personal opinion. I'm not giving you guys medical advice. I don't do that. But what I will tell you is this: my personal belief, and I'm sure a lot of the people in this conference right here, right now, believe the same thing that I believe. And what I believe is this: that today's hospitals have become the modern day killing fields, and the doctors are incentivized to put you out because there's a agenda to kill. It says it right there in their 2030 report, Agenda 2030. Okay. Yep. They tell you what they're going to do to you. And then you want to argue with people like me, who's been at this for 38 fucking years. And you don't know fuck all. You don't know shit from Shiola. You don't know your ass from your fucking elbow. Don't argue with us. We'll eat your lunch. There needs to be more people like us. Listen, this fight's just getting started. I'm telling you guys, you better hunker in. But the thing is, Donald Trump needs to allow this financial system to evolve. Because if he calls on Mel Carmine and says, hey, I need $2 million and I'm making, $5 million in interest every month, I say, here, Don, here's my $2 million. Let's go. Let's fight. If we have more gunpowder, that's what this is. This is gunpowder. Okay. Then we can fight better.
Oh, the clarity rule is supposed to be passed before the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big step. And then the first quarter of 2026, we have FinTech ruling across the globe that have to be finalized by March 2026. I mean, Chuck, you may know a lot more about this. I'm just going by hearsay and what I see Mel sending me. Is that correct, right?
As far as the dates are concerned, but I'm going to tell you right now, all of this is already done. It's all done. This whole thing is just smoke and mirrors, buddy. Done.
Yeah, it's done. We're just waiting on Israel to resolve the situation in Israel. We got to resolve
about that too. That's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, but we need the time, like meaning that, for example, the shutdown. The more every day that goes by, I believe more shenanigans are being addressed by the Trump administration, more money is being clawed back by waste, fraud, and abuse as we speak today. But also, there is a true, real pain taking place. It could also be fake pain, right? Because I hear on the news conflicting information. I hear, the military is not getting paid. And then I hear from Pete Essek, don't worry about it, everybody will get paid. So I hear different information from the news. It's there is actual disinformation taking place from MSNBC, CNN, and the usual suspects. But what I believe this is what they're talking about, that this transition where it could be right if it goes on for another week and another week and another week, and the Democrats play the same game. They are not going to I don't see them coming to the table. I really don't, because every day they just double down, triple down. It may come to a point where the switch to the new system will happen while the government is shut down. And then the deep state cannot control anything, because basically you have the new, the treasury system that's taken over the Federal Reserve. You're going to have temporarily Besant appointed as the Federal Reserve, replacing Powell. All of this might explode if another 10 to 20 days are allowed for the government to be shut. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I don't know what else to think here, because nothing makes sense.
Possibility that they can actually turn on the spigot for the new financial system while the government is shut down. That'd be great. I would love that. Chuck, what do you think?
I think this is all a plan. We're all waiting. Everybody, look at Dinar and all those guys and all the currency. They're waiting. Look at all of the stock stuff. Look at everything that's going on right now. Everybody's waiting.
Yeah, but you know what, Chuck? Think about this though, and it just dawned on me when Frank was talking. We know what's going on. We're waiting, right? And obviously there's groups that are waiting. But imagine if you were a tax attorney, you were an accountant, right? CPA, and we don't need you anymore because the taxes are gone. And I get it when they say they have to roll this out slowly, because even though the transfer of wealth is going to start coming and we know what the future looks like, they don't. So if I was an unawakened accountant or I'd be like, well, I make my livelihood from doing income taxes every year. So if you start I've had conversations with people, and that's the first thing they say. I'm like, but you don't get it. The whole financial system's going to change. Our lives are going to be different. There's going to be more wealth. But I think this is the problem. They do have to play this out and put this big charade on, even though I agree with you. I think all of this stuff is already in place and done, because people can't grasp how we're going into this world of abundance, and life is going to be much different, because they're still thinking 3D, that they need to go and do a tax return to make their money.
Yeah. And also there's little things like no tax on tips. It's only up to $25,000. So if you make $50,000 worth of tips, only $25,000 is going to be no tax. You're going to pay tax on the other. And also
there's no tax at all.
No.
In argument to that question or that comment right there, what is the difference between me going to work as a contractor and swinging a hammer and somebody going to be a waitress in a restaurant? It's still pay. You follow me? It's payroll.
Right, but it's capped. It's capped at 25,000. That's all I'm saying. And then another thing is
cap me at 25,000 and then start taxing me. It's the same thing. You follow me? That doesn't make any sense.
I follow. What I'm saying is I would have rather have no cap. Whatever money you make, if it's on tips, you don't pay any tax. But another thing is this: if you buy an American car and it's assembled in America, you will not pay. You can deduct the interest rate if you finance the car. That's great. But it's only up to 2028. The reason why I'm mentioning this is the big beautiful bill did a lot of great things, but they being cut off in 2028. Why not leave them on the books forever? So, and I don't think Trump nor the GOP is doing this out of spite. I think they know something. They know that by 2028 we are not going to need any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that is positive, because why, when I first heard and I read the bill, and the bill said you will not pay any, you can fully deduct the interest rate of a car that's assembled in the United States or made in America, I was like, finally, this is awesome. And then when I saw that was going to expire in 2028, I'm like, why? Why make it expire in 2028? Makes no sense. Keep it forever. That's what I'm not understanding. There's little things that are not making sense to me. The only positive reason that I can think of say, okay, this makes a lot of sense if by 2028 we might not have interest rate anymore. It might not even exist interest rate anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Well, from what I'm understanding, everything from a banking perspective is going to come back to the federal, to the Treasury. Our banks in our states will be what are they called? Credit unions. And that's where the money will be loaned to us for homes, cars, and all of that. And that's how we're going to replace the property tax. It's because now we're going to generate revenue by borrowing from our state in order to fund houses, cars, personal loans, and things like that. So all of this is in the debt clock. So if you go there and look at the debt clock, it's all in there. It's not,
the taxes are going to come from tariffs. You want to do business in America? Fuck you, pay me. Okay? You want to do business in the most we consume more shit than any other nation on earth. You want the American rich dollars? We got plenty of them. You got to pay us. Simple. Because during William McKinley, this country had more money than they knew what to do with. That's a fact. And that's the plan that Donald Trump is running on right now. There needs to be no taxation, not even sales tax on preparation H if you're an asshole. You understand?
I agree.
I agree. I agree. I mean, the national sales tax that Brian Kemp came up with years ago. I don't know if you guys remember Brian Kemp. Was a great system, and eliminating income tax completely, and only have a consumption tax on luxury or items that you don't really like. Not food is exempt.
Non-essential.
Non-essential. Thank you.
Right, like a Ferrari is not essential.
Right,
Come on.
Ferrari is not essential. But
how about the Falcon 8?
They did the
That's
calculation.
essential.
Yeah, they did the calculation, and America would have been extremely wealthy just because of that. I think taxation has become a weapon, especially by state and local entities, to pillage their own citizens. And you have California as a prime example of that. You have a lot of in Florida. You have some of the counties, the liberal counties. They are doing exactly that. And finally, DeSantis is investigating them. They've been pillaging. Literally, they've been abusing the taxpayer to the nth degree to take power. It's all about a psyop. Psyop is indeed when you take power away from the citizen. And you do it through taxation over regulation, you take the wind out of their life. And that's exactly what they've done here in California. The majority of people in California have been defanged. We are supposed to be our own, a citizen of California, a resident of California is supposed to be in charge of and have power and have in charge of your own destiny. Destiny, my ass. They completely defanged everybody, where we have become subject to the governor, as if the governor is a king. Even the laws that we passed Prop 36, for example, in the last election, and Governor Newsom is yet to enforce the law that we passed. Imagine that. Imagine that happened to New York, Elisa.
What are you talking? New York this happens every day. It's so corrupt. And I believe both Hochul in New York and Newsom are not who we think they are. So I think they're still trying to play this little game to wake people up and to make things look ridiculous, because I think they're both not there. Whoever's playing.
I agree with you.
We need to get.
I hope so. I hope so.
He looks
Don't you
nothing
remember
like the
about
old one.
3 years ago, they were advertising a Newsom lookalike in the, what was it?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
We need to get Louis Herms. We need to get Donald Trump to know that Louis Herms is running for governor of California, or he calls it guardian of California. And we need to get Donald Trump to endorse. Okay.
But Mel, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. This is what I short circuit in my brain. I cannot understand it. You have the separation of the states, the federal, the ideas that, we have federalists, you have a state has to fall within the U.S. Constitution, and their Constitution has to be basically compatible with the U.S. Constitution. So I understand all of that. What I do not understand is what happens when a governor acts explicitly against its own citizens. Is there anything that can be done? Like, for example, everything that Governor Newsom has done to date, in my opinion, deserves for the federal government to go in full force, blast his home, get it, handcuff him, and put him in a federal penitentiary, awaiting trial, or awaiting before the trial. You gotta convene a grand jury. But the damage he has done to date is worse than any crime you can even conceive. I mean, think about it. We had an election. We voted yes on something, and he said, okay, we passed the law, and he took the law, and he says, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to enforce it.
But Frank, don't
That
you think
cannot
that's
happen.
a psyop? Don't you think that's a psyop? I mean, this guy has done worse things. We have a lot of talk that this guy's been involved in some pretty nefarious stuff having to do with little ones, okay, and other people.
And Artie, he's not with us anymore.
That's right.
No, I understand, but why not show?
Still not getting it, so they have to make
I
it
got it. I got it.
that it's in their face.
I got it. But what I am trying to say is this: that's how you wake up people, by showing cause and effect. The cause is you have a governor that we've had an election, and this is the first time that I know in history. I mean, and I study a lot of history. Maybe I missed some things, but it's the first time I'm actually witnessing a law that's being passed, and the governor saying, I don't care. I'm not going to allot the budget to that law, even though it's passed, and nobody's doing anything about it. If the federal government would have said, you cannot do this, this is the law, and we are now taking over California because you can no longer be trusted to follow your own constitution of the state of California. Never mind about the federal constitution. Now
Let me interject this, if I can, real quick. And through this whole process, we've watched California just like a mass exodus out of California. Am I correct?
Yeah, and New York, by the way.
All right. Well, think about this. Is there something other reason why they're trying to get people out of California? Is it something going to happen there, or is there, because there's a reason. There's got to be some reason why they're doing that. Because most of
the property values are worth so much that they're burning you out of existence and taking your property over for cheap. That's what they're doing.
Don't forget as well, it is
California. If the governor of California can have his cake and eat it too, he's gonna make that state strictly for the super uber wealthy. So they're burning down everything. Don't you notice everything's being burned down? And we know we got pictures and videos of the lasers coming from, whether it's space or whatever machine you guys have up there near the what do you call that thing that goes over the earth?
Firmament.
Okay, there you go. Okay, we see that stuff. It's not like we don't see it. There's videos of that stuff. So they're burning people out of their home, even in poor neighborhoods, because they realize that property that those homes sit on is way, way more valuable, and they want to own everything.
That may be true, Mel, but I'm still of the ilk that a lot of what had to be done is done. They're trying to, number one, make it so ridiculous so people go, what the hell is going on? And number two,
I agree.
you consider New York and California two of the most evil states, and I'm not saying there's not evil everywhere else. I think there's a lot of other stuff going on underground that we don't know about, and they are slowly quickly taking care of all this. And there's just this narrative on the surface that hopefully they say, you know what, eventually people will start to fight back, because it's not about the federal government coming in. Okay. Sorry for the barking dog. It's about the people stepping forward, because we're the storm, not the government, not the president.
Who you think is controlling Newsom? Who you think is controlling him?
I think it's a CGI or a lookalike.
No, but who's controlling him? Who's controlling him?
I think the white hats are.
Yeah, same.
Well, Kathy is saying to watch Vietnam tomorrow. What's going on over there? I think they're trying to do a digital ID in Southeast Asia, China obviously leading the way. That's never going to happen in the United States, and I'll tell you why. The big deal was even the XRP Army 1.0, okay, has quieted it down regarding to the central bank digital currency. This is a Mexican standoff. This is the reason why this quantum financial system or new financial system, whatever it is you want to call it, don't matter. It's one and the same. That's why it's not here yet, because the banks figured out that holy shit, Chuck and Mel Carmine, they're their own banks. They could pay each other. I could buy Chuck's trailer home. I could buy his pickup truck. I could buy his antique Ford pickup truck, whatever. And I don't have to send the money through a bank. I could send it directly to Chuck, peer to peer. And they don't know how to get their piece. This is what this is all about. This is about them getting their piece. The central bank digital currency, in my opinion, is never going to see the light of day. Even the stable coins are going to be, controlled by Ripple, Cardano, Hedera Hashgraph is coming out with their own stable coin. We are in control of the money for the very first time in the history of Mother Earth. And they're not going to get their way, because we're going to educate these people. We're going to pound this drum until our knuckles bleed. And we're going to make sure that everybody understands how this cookie is going to crumble. And if you want your piece of the American dream, man, it is for sale right now. It's called XRP at $2.98. It's a fucking steal. What the fuck are you waiting for?
So speaking of Louis Herms, just so everybody knows, he's going to be on the Mel Carmine show. I'm going to be interviewing him this week, so that should be up by the end of the week. And going to ask him a lot of questions, and get him to talk about what is his platform. He's got the 5 lies. I want one of which is there's no child trafficking problem. So we're gonna talk about that this week.
Yeah. And so I want Frank here. Because we got to pay the bills around here, guys. By the way, we are adding some new swag, if you will, okay, at QFS 1776. Hopefully we are in the next 2 or 3 weeks before we start creating the Dear Mr. President Part 2. And that is going to piss off 8 people on planet Earth. My wife said that should be a huge success, because I have a PhD, according to my wife, in pissing people off. So, so that's going to be fun. So QFS 1776, we're going to have incredible swag that you're not going to be able to get. Hey, the XRP Army 1.0, I love them to death, but they don't have what we have, and they're not going to have what we're going to have here shortly. The swag is off the Richter scale. All right. If you want great things to happen, you got to shop with the good guys. Go to QFS1776.com/shop and look around, see if there's anything you like. Shop around with us, okay? Also, gold and silver, carminesgold.com, all right? If you want XRP, 10,000 or more, 786-704-8817. But please don't call me to socialize. I don't have time to socialize. If you want to socialize, get yourself a puppy. Go to gogetapuppy.com. Get yourself a puppy, okay? Also, staying alive. If you happen to be in Cape Canaveral, come down, buy a 2-hour session, buy a Therify session, buy a plasma medbed session. Let's put your feet on that charger that Amber's got, that new modality. You put your feet in, it gives you a lot of energy, and you might go home and have some wild sex with your wife. Who knows? You know what I mean? Come on down, man. It's amazing. And you got to also shop with guys like Frank. Frank's got the best stem cells in the world. We're talking the Rolls Royce on steroids. Frank, how did he get in touch with you?
But I can call direct at 310-877-3331. Mainly I deal with physicians, so if there is any physicians that sees this, they can call me and I can kind of review the product line with them.
Yeah. Another thing is you can actually call him and he'll explain to you in layman's terms because a fifth grader can understand what he's talking about, because he's so detailed oriented. I never met a man so thorough in my life than Frank Mancini. Frank is extremely thorough.
We call it, because of the so many people have shredded and mismanaged the name stem cells. We call it regenerative supplementation.
There you go.
Because the marketplace has been so incredibly chopped up and so much confusion.
And you don't need to go get hip replacement surgery. You got a protocol that allows the body to actually generate the actual cartilage to where you don't need to go get a hip replacement or a knee replacement. You got to be crazy to do that anyway, I think.
Yeah. So many people have heard horror stories, Mexico, Panama, overseas. So we don't deal with fetal stem cells. Those are illegal in the United States. They are very, very bad. They can get you in trouble. Just to give you an idea, Dolly the sheep, you guys remember?
Yeah.
There was cloned Dolly the sheep.
Which was because we've been cloning since the 1930s or before.
So they cloned 5 sheeps from her, 5, and all of them died within a year of metastasizing cancer. So fetal stem cells are not good. Also, they're very unethical. I would never use biologics from aborted fetuses. So we're talking about a technology that's been around for many, 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 many years, 100 years plus. Biologics, allogenic biologics, homologous from the same species have been around for a long time. Blood transfusion is one example of it. Taking blood from one person, giving it to another. We do a similar thing using wort jelly. Wort jelly is, in my opinion, the definition of regenerative, because everything stems from there. All the benefits, exosome, growth factors, collagen types, which help the body, rebuild itself. We just sell products that can be administered for the patient body to rebuild itself.
Yes.
It's not like a drug. So drugs are designed on chemical structure that operate 100% the same on everybody. But when you take a supplement, it will operate differently on everybody, because the supplement will help that individual depending on whatever issue they might be having, right? So not everybody has an exact experience. They might have a similar experience, but not the same. Nobody has the same experience. Like, for example, when you take a Tylenol, 100 people take a Tylenol and they have a headache. 90% of them, the headache is gone, for example. In this case, it's not a drug, it's supplementation. So if you get good biologic in your body to supplement your own body ability to regenerate itself.
And you can call Frank directly. He'll give you an education that is priceless. And then if you're interested in what he's doing, it is so inexpensive. We're selling to the Philippines, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica. Before, people used to fly to these countries and spend $100,000 for the wife, $100,000 for the husband to do. It's not even a fraction of 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 the cost. Am I right, Frank?
Yeah, and be careful out there. Be careful, because there's a lot of, in this industry, where you have people that really want to get help. You also have a lot of people that are very unscrupulous. and they make promises, or they will sell, try to give you new terminology. Like the latest is Muse cells.
Yes.
Muse cells. Muse cells. They you can only do it on one person in the office the same day. You cannot bottle up Muse cells. You cannot do any of that. There's a lot of
Repeat your number one more time, Frank. This way people have your number. They can call you direct or text you first.
Text me first, 310-877-3331. And we deal with physicians, nurse practitioners, and anyone that might have, that may own a clinic. I do patient advocacy. If you're a patient, you want to find a way you can, I can give you some direction. I do this and no fees. I just do it because I can. And if I have the time, I'll do it.
Yeah. And also, if once you're sold, once you talk to Frank, I don't give a shit who you are, you will be sold. Okay. And then you'll recommend your doctor to Frank. He'll talk to your doctor. He'll send your stuff over to your doctor, and then your doctor will inject you. Done. And the story. Why do I do this? Because I want you to live a long time. I want you to enjoy your XRP. And then I'll sell you a piece of property in my gated community. And Chuck's probably going to end up building that gated community. That's what he does. He's a builder, right?
All I want to do is age with grace and dignity. That's it. I don't want to live forever, but I mean, that's not up to me. That's up to the Almighty. So I just want to have some, health and age gracefully. I don't know if you know this, but before COVID happened and all the big, the shakeup that we're witnessing today, one of the biggest questions in the medical community globally was the biggest disease, that we're defining aging as a disease.
Absolutely it is.
So by defining aging as a disease, basically they are propelling to find a cure to aging, right? Find a cure to aging. So but what's really weird is this. There was a conference with scientists. There were like thousands of scientists, and the guy went on stage. I forgot if it was Bruce Lipton or somebody like that. I don't remember the exact person, but he said, "I have a pill, and you can live forever. Let me know how many people would do that." And only 10% of the audience raised their hands.
Wow.
So there is a slippery slope between like destiny, or what am I supposed to be doing with my life, or
exactly.
The big question about if you are somebody, a believer that believes in a creator, it's you don't want to replace the creator. You just want to have a good life and be able to be here, instead of waking up in the morning. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, your environment, you're surrounded with, from food to drinks to what, and they all designed to kill you. And you're not even safe going to the hospital when there's something really wrong with you, because the hospital also is intention is to kill you. Exactly. So you gotta pay attention to everything around you, and it becomes incredibly tiring to do that, right? Yeah. So the thing is, we want to have a normal life.
Yeah, Frank, put your number down below. Somebody missed your number, Kathy, over here. And put your number down below in the chat. This way everybody has it. And Lisa, if you want to get divorced, hey, if you got a lot of XRP, they say if you have 10,000 XRP, it's life-changing. If you got more than 10,000 XRP, it's wife-changing. So if you're getting a divorce, he's a divorce coach.
Well, I don't just do divorce. I do any kind of life transition. But based on what Frank was just saying, if you're going to live healthy and you start asking those questions, what's my purpose? What do I want? How do I manifest? It's not just always about physical health. It's about your mental health and about feeling good and being able to live in a high vibration. So that's the kind of coaching I do one-on-one. Same as Frank, just text me. I'll put my number in there too. You can always go to my website, elisavalentino.com. But we have to always have that mind, body, spirit. I'm also a light worker. So there's a lot of spiritual work that helps us stay close to our creator and know what our mission is in this lifetime, whether it's for our family, for the collective, right? We need to always be in touch with what he wants us to do.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Frank, you get your number in there?
I cannot text in a comments because
All right,
he asked me to
310?
310-877-3331. 877-3331. Area code 310. Yeah.
Okay, there it is, guys.
Lots of threes.
Easy to remember, I thought. 877-3331.
I'm a numbers guy, so I always key in on numbers.
So anyway, guys, I think this is it. We went into extra innings, but we're having fun, so why not? Right?
I just want to say one thing before we break, because it was way back in the beginning. And remember when Trump would get up in front of everybody when the COVID thing was going on, and he actually almost threatened all the businesses to start making the machines, right? Which everybody thought the machines were for the inhalators. I truthfully feel it might have been for the med bed.
And don't forget, we were saving children at that time. And a lot of these kids were, these people, they weren't just kids, coming up. And the USS Comfort, if we remember, off the coast of New York, had not one person, one patient. So what was that used for, right? They needed the med beds to help that first line of people that needed them. And now they're going to be around for us.
Yeah.
I just posted in your channel. Do you remember the night where they brought all the buses into Washington, D.C.?
Yes.
I just posted that, so you have that for your people.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, how do they find you on Telegram? Give me your channel's name.
After this next, in fact, Elise and I are going to get together, and we're going to open the channel up to public, I guess. I don't know how to do that, so she's going to help me.
All right. Very good.
Right.
But it's what is it, XRP Shaman?
It is, yes, the XRP Shaman. It's a private channel, but we're working on that.
Okay. Very good. I wish I had set mine up where I'm the only guy posting in there along with my administrators. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I set up, and we got all these scammers in there. I got guys that come into my channel by the name of Mel Carmine trying to scam Mel Carmine.
Do they want you to buy XRP from you?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. Hey, guys.
All right. Don't forget, we got a harvest moon or a full moon tonight.
Okay.
Lots of power out there.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, don't fall for these other scams where you have to store your gold and your silver in some vault with Brinks, all these fancy name companies, and they don't charge you based on the volume that you take up. They charge you based on how much your gold and silver is worth. America's got more scams than Nigeria by a factor of 100 to 1. I mean, they take legitimate businesses. If you look at the business model, 90% of the time, it's a fucking scam. Right? Take your gold, take your silver, go hide it in some like we do in a storage unit, a mom and pop storage unit in the middle of the woods somewhere. Cement some freaking safe into the ground, bolt it down, strap it down tight, and keep your mouth shut. That's all you got to do. All right? Don't go spending crazy money. You don't have to.
Exactly.
But a little bit at first.
Exactly. Guys, it's been real. I'm gonna shut the broadcast down. If you guys want to hang out for a little bit, you can. Guys, don't forget, by the way, dearmrpresident.net, you'll be able to go. Dear MR President's right there. Dearmrpresident.net. You can actually go and download the actual movie in whatever language. There's going to be like 8 languages there. Russian is coming tomorrow. And you can upload it to your personal Facebooks, your personal channels, whatever channels you have. You don't have to be a podcaster anymore. It's free range. Anybody can have it. All right? So go wild. Go crazy. Thank you.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Guys, nice to meet you.